Hey everybody, I'm Rich with TrekWithUs.com, and today we're going to be doing one of those maintenance tasks you probably didn't even know you're supposed to be performing, and that is cleaning out the inside of your hot water heater. Now this here is an Atwood 6-gallon hot water heater. And you can see all it has to keep it closed is this little tab, and to open it, just turn it straight. Whole thing pops down, and inside are the guts of the hot water heater. Now before we get too far, super important, make sure there is no hot water in your hot water heater. And the way to do that is from the inside, we're going to turn off the hot water heater, whether it be a propane or electric. Make sure it's all turned off, and then just run a hot water faucet until the water turns cold. Take a shower, whatever. Once the water turns cold, you're good to go. Next thing we're going to do is go turn off the water pressure, and I've already done both those things. I'm going to grab the camera and I'll show you what each piece is. This here is like a vent. We're going to have to pull this in order to get at the drain plug, which is down here. This entire unit in the front is the propane delivery, propane heating mechanism. Like I say, we also have electrical. Some of this stuff is wires up to the front so you can turn it on and off. And then this here is it's like a little valve, pressure release valve. So you put it up, water comes out. Here, what we really care about is this right here. That's also where you would install an anode rod. And I don't have an anode rod with me. I'll have to do another video on that. Nor have I installed one. But what an anode rod is, it's just a rod, usually made out of magnesium, and it's got the plug attached to it. And when you put it inside the hot water heater, stuff like lime and scale reacts with the magnesium, and it actually eats away at the anode rod instead of eating away at the inside of your hot water heater. It's a really good thing to have. We should have one. I actually bought one at one point, and then I was told that magnesium makes the water smell kind of sulfury, and to get a zinc anode rod instead. So when I find one, I'll do a post on that, and I'll show you guys what that's all about. For right now, I just want to clean the hot water heater. So step 1, make sure you have no hot water in the system. And then step 2, turn off the water pressure. Now for step 3, I'm going to get on a pair of gloves, because I'm going to take down this little piece of metal here. And I'm not sure if all the Suburbans have them. It's another hot water heater manufacturer. I imagine the Atwoods do, but this is just kind of to direct. I'm sure it's venting, but it's in the way, especially this piece right here, of getting the plug out. So we're going to remove that, and anytime you're trying to remove something that's got sharp edges made out of metal like that, make sure you wear gloves, because that stuff it'll cut right through your hand like a warm knife through butter, and you don't want that. So let me get some gloves on, and I'll show you how to remove that piece, and we'll go from there. Okay, I got gloves on. I confess these are cheapy. These are kind of gardening gloves, not ideal. Mechanics wear or other good automotive gloves would be preferable, and I just don't have a pair with me. So the only thing really holding this in place is there's a tab on this side. Other than that, it's just kind of hooked in. So we're going to pull this. And there it is, you can see. It's just these little metal tabs that are stuck into the front here holding it in place. And with this out of the way, we can actually get down to the drain plug. I'll show you guys really close. This is what we're going to be taking out. Now, ideally, I would have a ratchet or a wrench that was the right size, because what's in there is just plastic, and unfortunately I don't. I'm going to be stuck using an adjustable wrench, and I'm probably going to end up stripping it out, which is another good reason to get an anode rod that actually has like a metal cap plug. Just for your reference, it looks like it's a 7/8 inch cap, which, like I say, I don't have. So first thing you might want to do, not a bad idea, I turn the water off, but there's still pressure in the line. So if you just use your little vent here, that's going to take the pressure out. That way, as we pull the cap, I don't have water squirting out at me. And then unfortunately, I don't have a lot of room to work with in here, so you just gotta kind of half-step it and half-step it. Okay, I have it at the point where I can pull this thing out by hand. So I'm gonna take the camera and show you some of the stuff that comes out of the hot water heater. What happens is, because of the way a hot water heater is shaped, and even where the water comes out, there's kind of a dipped reservoir where a lot of gunk can form. You can get stuff just from water, hard water particles, all kinds of gunk. So if you don't take that stuff out, eventually some of it's going to come into your water system and you're going to have problems. And that's why you want to take it out. Alright, so I'm taking this out by hand. Let's see what all comes out. And if you haven't done this in a while, expect all kinds of fun stuff. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, all these chunks you're seeing, this is hard water deposits. What you want to do, actually, even after you just drain it with no pressure, is you want to go put the water pressure on so that more of the stuff gets pushed out by the force of water. Might be hard to believe that there's any more stuff with all the stuff that's coming out, but if we do some, if I turn the water pressure on, I think even more stuff's going to come out. The other thing I've read people say is you can take a clothes hanger and actually kind of shove it up in there and poke around to scrape some of this stuff out and then put the water pressure on. I don't know if I really feel like I want to do that, but I do think putting some pressure on and flushing more of this stuff out is a good idea. So I'm going to go get the pressure and see what that looks like. Alright, so I put the water pressure back on, and believe it or not, even more stuff's coming out. See it all? See all the chunks? Look at this. This is all stuff that's coming out of the water heater. Big hunks. Yeah, so clearly, I'd like to think that I maintain everything well enough, but I haven't been maintaining this well enough at all. So I've heard to run it for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Feels kind of like a waste of water, but you know, in the big scheme of things, it's really important to get this clean. So we'll let it run for a little bit until I get all the big particles stop coming out. And gross. And at that point, I'm going to show you how to close it up and the other purpose of that top vent. Okay, I got the thing drained. I think I got most of it, but even toward the end, there were still little bits and flecks, and I would say an awful lot of that came from our time in California. This is my first time cleaning it out, by the way, so I'm kind of doing a how-to as I learn how to do it myself, but not something I've really heard anybody else talk about doing. I think just looking at the sheer amount of stuff that came out of the water heater, it's not a bad idea to do it yourself. Certainly not that challenging. But what I do know is all that stuff ultimately will get into your water lines. We had it clog up our toilet water lines, and I had to unclip the water lines and flush them out just from driving. Moved stuff around enough that a bunch of that stuff got out of the water heater and into the water lines and started clogging up appliances, and it'll keep that from happening. Plus that stuff kind of eats the inside of the water heater and shortens the life. So another good reason to do it. Obviously a little bit more often than I have. I think we've had this RV now about 2 years. That's my first time. Pretty clear, more like every 6 months is a better idea. I'm going to put this cap back in. Again, having an anode rod is going to help you, but it's definitely not going to counteract all that lime and scale, unless if you're replacing it every 2 or 3 months. I guess you could do that too, but if you haven't installed one, you definitely want to open it up and clean it out. Now to put this thing back in, I'm just going to hand tighten it most of the way, and I'll tighten it the rest of the way with my adjustable wrench. And once I have that in there, I'll show you how to put everything else back together and how to get the water back in the water heater. Okay, I have my plug back in there nice and tight. You you have a hard time doing it and you're using an adjustable wrench, just remember that when you have it one way, you have one angle on the nut, and the other way you have another. So if you're tightening it like this, you might only be able to turn so far, but if you turn it around, you can then turn it further. So we're going to put this back in. Make sure you have gloves on. A little hole in my gloves there. Helpful if you remember what way it goes. There we go. This part was down. This is the part that was in the way, so I'm just going to latch these two pieces in. And that's it. It's not really tight, it's just kind of held on by this clip right here. So our water's back on, and the last thing we need to do is let the air out. So if you can picture, when the water's on, it fills the hot water heater, but it's not completely full. That's the other thing that this is good for. So we're just going to drain a little bit of water using this, and it's going to help the hot water heater fill up. You can almost hear you can hear the vacuum kind of pop of air coming out when I popped it. And I almost forgot, the last thing you do need to do to get all the air out of the hot water line, run the hot water on this side. See a lot of air coming out. Sounds freaky. It's actually air coming out of the hot water heater as the hot water heater fills up. It doesn't hurt to go around to every faucet and just run the hot water to make sure there's no air in the line also. And because I just cleaned it, it's possible that some of the gunk is still in the line, so it doesn't hurt to take the strainer off. These just unscrew. And here, put the camera down, I'll take it off, we'll see what's in there. Okay, I got this loose. And if you look in there, you can see there's all that particle matter. That's just from the hot water heater. So what we want to do is clean that all out. And I found a thumbtack works pretty well, or you can just kind of rinse it out, and the whole thing will push out. Okay. So then we can get all the gunk out of this little piece of the strainer. You might have to do this with any other faucets you have to. So once you're done with that, your hot water will run just fine. Hot water heater will be full, then you're ready to use the hot water heater. This is a pretty easy thing to do yourself. It's going to save you money in the long run. Replacing a water heater is probably, I think they're around $400 or $500, assuming you install it yourself. You pay somebody else to do it, it's going to cost you $1,000. So even if it gives you an extra couple years out of the water heater, I think well worth it. And more importantly, you're not going to have all that gunk in your water lines by cleaning it out periodically. I think they say to do it every 6 months, and obviously I need to I need to do a better job myself. So there you go. That's all there is to it, and I hope you guys found this useful. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comments below. And until next time, happy trekking.